So I had a problem where my current project required this hand-done, very vintage, in fact antique lace. Beautifully done, absolutely stunning workmanship. And then I ran out of it, so I couldn't finish my project. So I thought, what am I going to do? So the best I could do was to try and replicate it with my own abilities. Now the purple ink hasn't disappeared yet, but it's not bad. I think one of the problems I've got is matte cotton thread, or perhaps linen thread, very, very fine. And I don't even have that, I only have polyester thread. But it's not bad. I'm getting better at it. I will continue working to refine it. I found that putting a smaller needle in for the fine thread definitely helps a lot. But to get their level of precision is really, really proving difficult. So I need to identify how they got the thread to work. Once the purple's gone, it will look, quite acceptable. I want to do a bit of improvements on it. But there are the two together. So it's not too harsh. If I flip it over, it'll be a little easier to see. So what I did is I traced out the original, put it on the light table, and then traced it out here. So let me show you what that looks like. So I've put it here. This is what I've been working on. So I traced it out, and then I just trace it onto the fabric and sew it out. So my first attempt wasn't horrid, but I'm certainly getting better with each go. So that's one of the junk attempts. Oh, actually, that's good. I didn't spot it immediately. This is one of my first attempts. Oops, the sunlight's a bit bright. So this is one of my first attempts, which isn't bad. It's not as good as the original, so I shall continue to try and improve. But certainly using the finer needle has helped get this version to be a lot better. So I will continue trying to work to get that perfect and super beautiful. But I really need to understand how they've done, what thread they've used. It must be something like 100, whereas the minimum size I have is only 60. So I'm guessing they used the finest thread possible. But also cotton thread. So if you look really closely here, if I can get it to zoom in, I might not do it. It's really hard to identify how they got that kind of soft thread. But I shall continue plodding, and I shall show you sewing some of this shortly. So I thought it'd be fun to demonstrate the super slow control I can achieve on this setup now. I'm doing this specifically for the complicated embroidery that I need to do. I need to make sure the needle position is exactly where I want it. So obviously you can sew faster than this, but I wanted to demonstrate how it's possible to do it so slowly, which is really helpful if you're doing this super bright, and then you can speed it up as necessary. And you can speed it up mid-cycle as well, because it's such a long cycle. If you need to speed up certain parts and slow down certain parts, it's quite easy to do so. Quite therapeutic when you're able to do it this slowly. And as you can hear, it's very quiet. So sped it up there, slowed it down there. Coming to the end of this cycle. If I need to stop, I can stop and then start. Stop, start, kick it. You can do part of a cycle as necessary. And then obviously I can speed it up to its current maximum, which is quite slow. So I'll show you the maximum stitches at the moment, which is very slow. So this is the fastest it'll go with this setup. Now I can turn up the servo motor to be faster, but at the moment at 1500 stitches, per minute. For 1500 RPM on the servo motor, that's the fastest I can get it because of the big ratio reduction, which is of course perfect for getting this very, very slow control. Works very well. Now of course I can add in the reverse or the zigzag cycle. Which means I can then do it much faster, or still very slow if I need to do some precise work. But it works very well. It allows me to do some spinning like this mid-cycle. It's quite handy. Or I could just stop, spin it, and then go again. When you're doing complicated stuff like this, it's quite handy to be able to. And then I can just kick it into the ground, into the fabric, and off we go again. Here, we need to return it to its straight, just to do it sideways, so this helps for this. And we're off again. Get the idea anyway. Very controllable. Certainly the best control I've had on any of the machines, except for when I'm treadling. This is the first time I've had this kind of level of control on an electronic machine. Very, very, very good this is. Bury it in the fabric. Anyway, hope you found that interesting.